Welcome to the Mental Health Awareness Initiative. Today we have a lovely guest from Mumbai, Mrs. Balaka Basu. She is the founder of Interstitial Cystitis India and an author. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hina ma'am, for inviting me to this show. It's a privilege to be here.
Thanks for your time. If you
My pleasure, my pleasure.
yeah, if you could just explain to our listeners what is interstitial cystitis.
Yes. Interstitial cystitis is primarily a bladder issue. It is related to, the symptoms are very similar to urinary tract infection, and that is the reason why it often gets confused with UTI. And the problem is that most patients, 80% of patients are female, and whenever they suffer some issues related to urine or to their private parts, they go to their gynecologist. But the awareness about this disease among gynecologists is very low. So in most cases, what happens, patients are not treated properly. They are misdiagnosed, and for it takes, like, for some it takes even like 10 years, 12 years to get diagnosed with this disease. It's a chronic disorder, and the symptoms are urinary frequency, urinary burning, pain in the pelvic area, and bladder discomfort, nocturia, which is nighttime frequent urination. So these are basically the common problems. Most patients are female, as I said, but also males are also equally affected. But it is more predominant among menopausal women. So this is more or less in a nutshell what the disease is all about.
That is really very insightful because this is a very new thing that I came across, and I feel that everyone should know about it. And I thank you for coming forward and accepting the invitation and talk about this.
Yeah, thank you. I actually want to talk about it because by talking only we can raise the awareness. I'll just give you one trivia. Till 2011, it was believed that in India, nobody suffers from IC, because they believe that IC only affects Caucasian females, and we are genetically in such a situation that we can never suffer from IC. But now we know that IC affects Indians as much as it affects Caucasians. So the awareness among doctors are also very less about this disease. There are many doctors apart from urologists. Most pediatricians or gynecologists or general physicians, they are not aware about this disease even till date.
Okay, and like I'm just curious to know as to how did you come across this and how did you found out this and you know develop this support group?
Yes, I was myself suffering from this disease. So once I started suffering, what happened? I went to my gynecologist, and she was not able to diagnose. Then I went to another gynecologist. She was also not able to diagnose. So I was going from one gynecologist to another. And finally, I remember one gynecologist, she told me that because she was not able to diagnose me, my reports were all normal. She just said that, whatever you are suffering is actually in your head. You don't really have any pain. And that really hit me very hard because, I'm a patient, I'm suffering, I'm in pain, and I was sitting in front of my doctor, and the doctor was not ready to believe me. That really hurt. And that is, I think, when I decided that I'm going to show everybody that this disease is as real as any other disease. And to be very honest, I don't really blame the doctor also, because what she said was out of lack of awareness, because she also didn't know about this disease. So that is why she said it, because she was not finding anything. So
True.
this happens with most patients, those who suffer from IC. this is a very common thing that doctors tell them that you do not really have a disease. It's everything is in your head. You're just imagining the pain.
That is really very traumatic also in some ways, because you are actually, going from one doctor to the other doctor trying to get yourself relieved of the pain, and then there are no answers to it. It is
Yes.
painful.
Yes, and this is not only in India, this is across the world. This is the same scenario that doctors are not ready to believe because, it's very difficult to diagnose this disease. There is no diagnostic test to tell you that this disease exists. Because, see, if you're suffering from cancer, you can do a biopsy and you will know that you have a cancer. But with this, we don't have any diagnostic tool. So even doctors, they don't understand, and then they start saying that the patients are imagining the pain. It's more of a psychological thing. It's not really a real disease. So our as patient advocates of IC, our main job is to create this awareness to tell everybody this is a real disease. Nobody is imagining anything. Everybody is actually suffering, and that is why they are going from one doctor to other doctor just to find some relief.
Okay, if there are no there are no tools to detect this, how does anyone come to the conclusion that they are suffering with IC?
Yes, this is they do a process of elimination. So they perform certain diagnostic tests and like cystoscopy or um, urino urine culture and everything. And then when they see that this person is not suffering from other diseases like bladder cancer or TB or some urinary infection or overactive bladder disorder, then they conclude that you are suffering from IC. And they also look at the symptoms. There are certain classic symptoms like bladder pain and pelvic floor pain, these things, and then they come to the conclusion that you have IC.
Okay, and once identified, then what next to be done?
This is a chronic disorder, so there is no cure for this disease, but they give you medicines. There are certain therapies that you can do, like cystoscopy with hydrodistension or some bladder extension. They do those things. They give you medicine. There is a particular medicine that they give called pentosan, which is a molecule that they give you. So that is how they treat you. And there are some certain other things like diet is a very important aspect of IC. So you have to follow a IC diet, which is a specific diet. You can do certain therapies, physiotherapies, pelvic floor therapies, and for patients who have very severe pain, they go for nerve blocking, and the last resort is bladder removal, bladder surgery. But mostly, with the diet and pelvic floor therapy and medicine, you can manage this disease to a certain extent.
So, in your foundation, in your group that you have created,
Yes.
how do people interact or join or want to know more about it? Then how do they do it?
Yes, this is a group created by the patients, for the patients. So it is a free platform. So when we started, it was just a WhatsApp group where I was suffering, and I thought that, I thought that I'm the only person in India who is suffering from this. So I wanted to get in touch with another person who would actually understand my pain, with whom I can share whatever I'm going through. So I started, and then I found another person on Facebook, I think. And similarly, I think 4 or 5 of us, we got together and created a WhatsApp group. And today, I think in our group, we have close to 1,000 people who are members. We don't charge any fees. It's basically now we don't give everybody access to WhatsApp. It's because we have those number restrictions, so we cannot add everyone. So we interact with them through email or through Facebook. group that we have. And the primary thing that we do in this group is to provide support to each other. We help patients connect to doctors because, as I said earlier, that patients, they go from one doctor to other because most doctors are also not aware about the disease, the treatment protocol. So we send them to those doctors who know about this disease. And basically we provide support, and not only to patients, but we also provide support to caregivers and their family, their husbands, their children, their parents, whoever. Because as I said, that there is a stigma attached that this is in your brain. So in many cases we also have to convince the family members that no, the patient is actually suffering, she's not faking it or not just pretending to be sick. So that is majorly a part of this. We conduct workshops. We conduct, seminars, webinars. Nowadays, webinars. Earlier, we used to do seminars. So these are things that we do to create awareness among the general public and, of course, the patients and doctors.
This is really commendable and a very
Thank you.
good initiative, and the
Yeah.
efforts of all the members in the group to be there for each other. It's
Hmm.
really like hats off. Tell
Hmm.
me one thing, during this entire process
Hmm.
of finding out, going
Hmm.
from pillar to
Hmm.
post to find
Hmm.
answers about it,
Hmm.
how did it take you, like, what was the toll on you mentally?
Um, Mentally, yes, it was a big thing because I literally went into, you can call it a kind of depression. The first thing was that nobody was understanding my pain. Thankfully, my family was very supportive. My husband, my father, they were very supportive. But I was not getting enough support from the doctors because they were not ready to, listen to me or understand my pain. Then again, I was very lucky that I came across an amazing urologist who understood my problem, and he actually treated me very well. But here, more than myself, I would like to talk about the patients that who come in my group, because I think they had, some of them really had very traumatic experiences, because in many cases the family is not ready to believe. In my case, I was lucky that my family was very supportive. But for many patients who come to my group, and their family, they don't support, they don't understand. uh, there are, I'll tell you, this is there is a statistics that the suicide rate among IC patients and divorce rates among IC patients are very high. And because the thing is, you're suffering, you're in pain, nobody's understanding, you're not getting diagnosed, there is no cure, there is no medicine. At this, again, on top of it, your family is also not believing you. So that really takes a huge toll on the patients. And I'll just give you one anecdote. I think I was in Baroda. I had gone for a workshop, and there this man comes. His wife is a patient. He comes and he starts talking to me, madam, what to do, how to treat this, and all that. So I was just explaining him everything. Then lastly, he asked me, tell me one thing, madam, should I leave her? Because if this is not curable, should I leave her? I cannot live with this for the rest of my life. So you can understand the situation of a woman who is suffering, and at the top of it, she's also anxious that because of a disease, her husband might leave her. So this is, I think, this chronic illnesses, they take a toll on your mental health a lot. And even abroad, the situation is not any better. I used to think that it's only in India that yeah, even abroad, the situation is not any different. I always thought that it's only in India, but even there, it is same. And in internationally, I have met patient advocates who are not patients themselves, but they became advocates because they lost their loved ones. Somebody lost their daughter or mother or something, and then they decided to take up the cause and raise awareness about this disease. And as I'm talking to you today, also one international patient, she committed suicide. So you can understand what is um, how stressful this disease can get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important, and you're doing a very good job because
Thank you. Thank you.
we need to support each other, understand that it is not in one's hand,
Yes.
but what
Yes.
is in one's
Absolutely.
hand is to be there for each other. How did you overcome the emotional aspect? Of course, we
Um.
had a support group. Like when you listen to so many people and when you
Yes.
listen to the stories, like how do you gauge the emotional aspect?
Um. Yes, my support group helped me, my family helped me. Then, working on this when I started researching, that also gave me a lot of insights into this disease. But I also had to go for therapy, but that was not when I was suffering. But later on, I realized that actually it had taken some kind of toll on me. And and for even in my group, I always recommend, because in India again, not only chronic diseases, even mental health is still a taboo. People are very hesitant to go to any therapist. But in my group, I always advise my patients to go to a therapist, because in the group we are all patients, we are supporting each other, but a professional can do something that we cannot do. So most of my patients, they have now kind of realized the importance of therapy, and many of them they go. And for me, I think I think once I started working on this, it actually helped me heal also mentally, because I realized that I'm not alone. There are people I can talk to, there are people who would understand me. And then when I saw that people were, some of them were even worse than me, and I felt like I should help them come out of it. So this whole thing was actually a big learning for me. It was, I think I grew as a person also while I started doing this. I became more mature, I became more insightful. I started looking at people from a completely different perspective. I also gave up. Earlier maybe I had this little bit of judgmental thing, but now I always try to put myself on the shoes of that other person and try to understand what he or she is going through. So yes, it has really helped me, this whole thing. It has also helped me in my own healing.
Okay, tell me, when you're talking about putting yourself in others' shoes, has this pandemic really affected IC patients?
Yes, of course, because you would be knowing that we conducted a session last year
Mm-hmm.
um, with you only, where you saw how IC patients are also suffering. They are getting anxiety attacks, stress attacks, and uh, last year during lockdown, a major concern among the patients were how would we access our doctors, because the clinics were closed, doctors were doing online, they were not getting medicine. So there was a lot of stress and anxiety. And IC is a disease that always gets flared up if the patient is stressed or anxious. So last year, most of the patients, they were going through flare-ups during
When the
uh,
shutdown happened,
yes, many of
the
them.
lockdown.
We had to literally calm them, because they were very anxious, and then staying home all the time, not getting enough rest, especially the female patients, because we need to rest also. But they were not getting rest because the kids were home, husbands were home, some of them they live with their in-laws. So it was very difficult for most patients. And then those who go for regular therapies, physiotherapy or hydrogen or whatever, they were not getting those treatments. So many of them were actually relapsing. So it was bad for them.
But with your support and being there for each other, I'm sure they have sailed through that testing
Yes.
time. Initial, like, it's like a blow.
They many of them, they were able to cope. But then again, there are patients who are the threshold is different for every patient. So some patients, they can cope well, others they can't. And in my groups, there are also patients who have other ailments also, not only IC, they also suffer from fibromyalgia, they suffer from IBS, or some of them, they suffer from even bipolar disorder. So those patients, they had very difficult time. The others were still okay, but some of them, they actually had to go through hell, basically.
That is like painful, yes, but with each other's support again,
Yes,
it will
yes,
be like, holding each
yes.
other's hand virtually,
Yes, yes, yes.
and we
That
need to
was
stay strong.
definitely, yes. And then last year because the patients were getting very anxious, so we started conducting, online workshops where we were inviting doctors, therapists, physiotherapists, and they were doing sessions with the patients. So that helped them, that gave them the confidence that, okay, even virtually, we have some help. And they were able to talk, they were able to discuss their problems. So yes, that part they helped. But this time, I don't know, with the second wave, I'm not sure how they are going to cope this time, because this time seems really challenging.
Very true. And we all will sail through this. Tell me, since last year, have you personally experienced anything yourself which was
Uh,
challenging? And if so, how did you cope?
Challenging in like in terms of work, or
Anything you found challenging?
um, to be honest, one thing was initially last year, the thing that was challenging was, everybody being home. It was challenging not in that way. It was like, physically it was very exhausting because the maids were not there, and everybody was home and lots of work. The children started their online classes, and we had to sit with them because they were not able to cope. So that part was little bit, I would say, physically exhausting, and of course little bit mentally exhausting. But I think after that, gradually, we settled down, things became easier, we got a routine. And then I also think I utilized the time in a way that we started learning things, online. We started doing courses. The kids started, doing pursuing their hobbies that they had not got the time before. So that part was, of course, okay. But the thing that was challenging was this anxiety that is still there. Like we are in uncertain times. We don't know what is there tomorrow. So I think that is something we all are facing, and it's not only IC patients who are facing this, but this is something, this uncertainty, this anxiety, this what is going to happen tomorrow. um, and now to even the survival thing is becoming like a question, because when you see so many people around you, and that really makes you very uncomfortable.
Okay. And so, if I have to sum up, like the group that you have created, is a support group for each other who are going through and sailing through this IC problem,
Yes.
and to console each other that, okay, you will be going through this pain. We understand that you are going through. So, the
Hmm.
acceptance of one's pain is also a relief factor.
Yes, yes, that is a big relief factor. The moment somebody says that, yes, I understand, I think that is a magical sentence for most patients who have heard their entire life that, it's okay, it's nothing, you're just exaggerating, you're just thinking too much, you're hypochondriac. So when you're used to listening to this, then suddenly if somebody says that, I understand, I can empathize with you, I think that makes a huge lot of difference. And I don't really, I would really say this very confidently, that I have seen patients in my group, they have, when they came to the group, they were really shattered, and they had no confidence, and now I see those very patients, when new patients are coming to the group, they are the ones who are taking the initiative to counsel them. They are saying, they have stepped up to the thing. So that really makes me very happy that yes, these patients, when they came, they were all very hopeless about their lives, and now they are actually telling other patients that everything is going to be fine. We all know what you're going through. That's a huge, I think that is, personally, that's a very big achievement for me.
I'm sure it is. And after listening to you today, the listeners will realize that there is a group available online wherein you can heard,
Yes,
and there are people who went through the same thing and
yes,
they can empathize with the pain
yes,
that you are going through, which
yes,
otherwise is not actually even heard by
yes,
your loved ones.
yes, yes. And
And
it's not only for IC, I think for any chronic patient, this is something that we are ready to help. Like, because most chronic patients, they listen to this, that your pain, or people, they kind of, their family also gets fed up. If one person is even suffering from arthritis, after a certain time, even the family gets kind of, it's okay, they just start taking it for granted. They don't put any special attention to the pain, but the patient is suffering, the pain is not reducing for the patient, right? So it's very important that you find someone who is at least empathetic towards you.
absolutely. So I hope that now people can connect with your group, which
Yes,
provides supports to the patient as well as to the caregivers.
yes,
And in the meantime, while you are having all the inputs from the support group, one should channelize their energies. One should use the time they have, and whatever concerns they have, they can come and share with you all without
yes,
any hesitation or
yes,
with the fear that they'll be judged.
yes,
So
absolutely.
that is great. And of course, to all the listeners, I'll share the link of the Facebook support group that Mrs. Balaka have, and you all can connect with her as and when needed.
Yes.
Before we leave, one thing you would like to tell the listeners.
I just would like to tell the listeners that we all are going through a difficult time, but we are together in this. We will help each other, and we shouldn't lose hope. There is always something good that is waiting for us. So just keep your hopes high. Thank you. That is what I wanted to say. And thank you so much, Hina, Ma'am Hina, for inviting me. It was really an honor to speak to you and your listeners. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mrs. Balaka. And that was a very good information that we have just received from Mrs. Balaka about the awareness and the thing that is not even identified easily by the gynec or by the urologist. So now, if you have any um, any ailment in and around that thing, then you can contact her and be safe.
Yes, yes, I'm always there to help.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
With that note, we end the episode. Hope to see you tomorrow with another speaker on mental health awareness. Till then, be safe. Bye.